After my grandpa passed, my uncle said he told me on his deathbed he wanted me to take the land. No will, no papers, just his word. But I found a flash drive hidden in Grandpa's shed with a video he recorded 3 days before he died. If my brother tries to lie again, he said in the recording, play this at the hearing. I did. And everything changed. My name's Dean, and what happened to me after my grandpa died has changed how I look at family forever. Grandpa John was a quiet man. He didn't talk much, but when he did, you listened. He lived out his whole life on a small cattle farm just outside Amarillo, Texas. Grew up there. Married my grandma there. Raised my dad there. And when my dad passed in a car wreck when I was 17, Grandpa kind of stepped into that father role for me. I used to spend weekends fixing fences with him, checking on the cows, drinking iced tea on the porch swing. When I got laid off during COVID, I stayed out there full-time, helping him run the place. He said he couldn't have kept it up without me. I didn't ask for money. I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it because I loved the man. But when he died, everything turned to hell. We buried Grandpa on a cold, gray Friday in January. The service was small. Mostly family, a few old neighbors, and some ranch hands who had known him for decades. My Uncle Wayne showed up in a brand new GMC Sierra. Blacked out rims, like he was showing off. Wayne had always been the black sheep, the youngest brother, the screw-up. He moved to Dallas in the 90s chasing some pyramid scheme and never really stuck around. Barely visited Grandpa. I think I saw him maybe twice in the last 10 years. He got up during the little memorial we had in the barn and started talking about how Dad always believed in me. It didn't sit right. The words were smooth, but the tone felt wrong, like he was setting something up. And he was. After we lowered Grandpa into the ground, Wayne pulled the family together and dropped the bomb. I know this might come as a surprise, but before Dad died, he told me he wanted me to take the land. Said he wanted it in good hands. People just stood there, stunned. My cousin Tracy asked, "Did he write that down?" Wayne gave a shrug. "Nah, just told me. On his deathbed." Said he trusted me to keep it going. I opened my mouth but didn't speak yet. I needed a minute to think. Grandpa never mentioned any of this to me. And we talked about everything, especially the land. We had plans to keep it in the family. He even told me he wanted to fix up the guest house and maybe rent it out someday. Wayne didn't even know how many acres the place had. But the thing about grief is people don't want to argue. Not at a funeral. So nobody pushed back hard. People nodded, mumbled some version of if that's what he wanted. I didn't say a damn thing. Not yet. A few days later, I went back to Grandpa's place. Everyone had cleared out and the house felt too quiet. I couldn't sleep the night before, kept thinking about that smug look on Wayne's face. I walked around the place for hours, just trying to clear my head. Ended up in the shed where we used to fix tools and store parts. It smelled like motor oil and cedar. Same as always. I sat down in his old lawn chair, looked around. That's when I saw it barely sticking out from behind one of the inner wall beams. Just the corner of something shiny. I pried the panel back and found a small Ziploc bag duct taped to the wood. Inside? A flash drive. No label. Just the drive. I took it home and plugged it in. There was one video file. It started with a close-up of Grandpa sitting on the porch swing. The date said it was recorded 3 days before he died. His voice was raspy but steady. If you're watching this, then Wayne's gone and done what I feared he would. He looked right into the camera. Wayne has no claim to this land. None. I didn't tell him anything. I didn't promise him a damn thing. If he says I did, he's lying. He leaned forward. Dean, check the safe. Use your birthday. It's all in there. I signed it over to you months ago. You earned this. You took care of me when nobody else would. Don't let him lie his way into something he doesn't deserve. Then he paused, and the next words hit hard. And if you're watching this, Wayne, shame on you. I sat there frozen for what felt like an hour, just staring at the screen. I didn't waste any time. That night I drove back out to Grandpa's house and tore through the closet in his bedroom. Under the floorboards was the old steel safe I'd never noticed before. I put in my birthday. Click. Inside were documents. Originals. A notarized transfer of land and property. A letter from his lawyer. All of it dated months before he passed. All of it naming me as the legal heir. My hands were shaking. I printed out copies and made appointments. First with a lawyer. then the county clerk, then the court. Because if Wayne wanted a fight, he was going to get one. As soon as the court received the deed and the video, Wayne went quiet. Too quiet. He stopped returning my calls. I figured maybe he realized he lost. That maybe for once he'd take the hit and move on. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, I came back from town and saw tire tracks cutting across the front pasture. Deep ones. Like someone had driven a truck straight through the wet field. I checked the cameras I'd installed. There he was, Wayne, walking the fence line, smoking a cigarette like he owned the damn place. He didn't touch anything, just walked around, looked at the barn, then spit on the dirt and left. I reported it to the sheriff's office. They filed it under trespassing, but they didn't do much. Said unless he damages something, it's a gray area. I called my lawyer. We filed for a restraining order. A week before the court hearing, I got a notice in the mail. Wayne had hired his own attorney and filed to contest the deed. His argument? Dean manipulated an old man in declining health, took advantage of him to gain access to the land. I nearly laughed when I read that. If anyone had manipulated Grandpa, it was Wayne. Years of sob stories, borrowing money, disappearing for months, showing up only when he needed something. But now the gloves were off. His lawyer subpoenaed me, wanted texts, emails, anything that showed I pressured Grandpa into changing the deed. They were trying to paint me like some greedy grandson who used Grandpa's loneliness against him. It made me sick. That week, my cousin Becca, who lives in Fort Worth and never liked Wayne much, called me out of the blue. Said she heard about the land drama and wanted me to know something. Wayne's in deep. He owes a guy in Houston over 40 grand. Gambling or drugs, I don't know which. But this land? He was planning to sell it fast. Pay off his debts and disappear. It all clicked. He wasn't here for Dad's wishes. He was here because he was drowning. That made me angrier than anything. Not just because he was trying to steal, but because he was dragging Grandpa's name through the mud to do it. I spent the next few days collecting everything. Photos of us working the farm, text messages Grandpa had sent me, even the Christmas card where Grandpa wrote, "This land will be yours soon." And of course, the flash drive. That video was my ace. But I didn't tell anyone I had it yet. Not even the lawyer. I wanted Wayne to lie under oath. Couldn't sleep. I kept playing Grandpa's voice in my head. His words. That look in his eyes when he said, "Don't let him lie." The next morning, I shaved, put on the cleanest shirt I had, and drove into town. Wayne was already there, sitting outside the courthouse, wearing a sport coat and boots that still had mud on them. His lawyer stood nearby, smug as hell. They didn't even look at me. That was fine. Let them think they had a shot. Court was quiet. Just me, Wayne, his lawyer, my lawyer, and the judge, Judge Ramsey. A no-nonsense woman in her 60s who'd seen every family dispute in town for the last 30 years. Wayne's lawyer started strong. Painted him as the forgotten son, the estranged but still loyal brother who came home in his father's final days and was told in confidence that he would inherit the land. No paperwork, no witnesses, just Wayne's word. Then Wayne got up. He started crying. I mean real tears. My father, he said he didn't trust lawyers. Said too many hands get in the pot. Told me, plain as day, that I should take the land. That Dean wasn't ready. My stomach turned. I knew he was lying. I clenched my jaw so hard I thought I'd crack a tooth. Then the lawyer asked him a question I wasn't expecting. Did Mr. John ever express doubts about Dean's role on the property? Wayne nodded. Yeah. He said Dean was lazy. Said he didn't take care of the place unless he was getting something out of it. That stung. More than I thought it would. My lawyer laid out the timeline. When I moved in, how I helped Grandpa during COVID, how I gave up work to help run the place. We showed text messages from Grandpa thanking me. Photos of us fixing up the barn. A voicemail from last fall. Hey Dean, it's me. I'm filling out the land papers tomorrow just like we talked about. I'll leave everything in the safe. That one hit hard. But it wasn't the kill shot. Then Judge Ramsey looked at me and said, "Is there anything else you'd like to submit?" I took out the flash drive. Yes, Your Honor. A video my grandfather recorded 3 days before he died. He made it in case this exact situation happened. The room got quiet. Wayne's lawyer started to object, but the judge shut it down. Let's hear it. They pulled down a little projector screen from the back wall. My lawyer plugged in the drive. Grandpa's face filled the screen. He looked tired but sharp. Like always. His voice steady. Wayne has no claim to this land. If he says I told him anything different, he's lying. Dean was here. He earned it. I signed it over to him months ago. It's in the safe. You could hear Wayne whisper, "What the hell?" as the judge leaned forward in her chair. Then Grandpa delivered the line that sealed it. "And if you're watching this, Wayne, shame on you." The judge turned to Wayne. "You still want to argue that your father gave you this land verbally?" Wayne was pale. His lawyer asked for a recess. Denied. I thought that was it. That the video would be the end. But Wayne wasn't done yet. That night, someone broke into Grandpa's house. The back door was forced open. Nothing was stolen, but the safe had been tampered with. Someone tried to break it open with a crowbar and failed. I called the sheriff. They dusted for prints. No match came back immediately, but we all knew who it was. Wayne had snapped. 3 days after the hearing, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but I answered. A man's voice. Calm. Cold. "Your uncle owes me money. He said you stole land that was supposed to be his. He said you're sitting on a few $100,000 in property. Maybe you and I should talk." I froze. Who is this? Wayne hadn't just tried to scam the land. He was dragging me into his mess. Into whatever debt he owed to people like that. I called Becca. She confirmed it. Wayne owed tens of thousands to someone in Houston. Not a bank. Not a casino. A person. A dangerous one. And now they thought I had what was owed. The phone call chilled me. Not because I was scared, at least not yet, but because it meant Wayne had officially dragged me into his mess. This wasn't a family fight anymore. This was danger. Real danger. And it was coming straight at me. I changed the locks. Bought a shotgun. Sheriff said they'd increase patrols, but out here, that means one cruiser might pass by every few days. I didn't sleep. Not well. I started watching the cameras every night. And then it happened. It was about 1:30 a.m. I was dozing off on the couch, TV still on, shotgun on the coffee table. Motion alert buzzed on my phone. Back pasture. Movement. I opened the camera feed. 2 men. One of them was Wayne. The other I didn't recognize, bigger guy, face mostly covered, but I could tell from the way they moved, they weren't there to talk. I grabbed my boots, loaded the gun, and turned on every floodlight I had. They froze when the lights hit them. Wayne ran. The other guy didn't. He just walked toward the barn. Like he didn't care. I fired a warning shot into the air. He didn't flinch. He kept walking. That's when I realized he's not here for Wayne's sake. He's here for something else. I called the sheriff. Told them I had a trespasser. Armed. Dangerous. It took them 22 minutes to arrive. By then, the man was gone. But not before leaving a message. Carved into the barn door with a knife. You're paying his debt. One way or another. Next day, I filed for full emergency protection. I also took Grandpa's original paperwork and moved it to a bank safety deposit box in Amarillo. 2 days later, Wayne was arrested. Not for trespassing. Not even for breaking into the house. He got picked up in a raid down in Houston. Possession of stolen goods. Ties to drug trafficking. And obstruction. Turns out he wasn't just in debt, he was laundering money through fake property deals. My land? Just his next flip. And the video Grandpa left? That was now part of a federal case. The man who called me? He got picked up too. They had Wayne's phone tapped. He had told that man to do whatever it takes to get my nephew scared enough to sell. 3 months later, we had the final court date. Wayne tried to claim mental stress. His lawyer begged for probation. The judge wasn't having it. You tried to steal land from your own family. You forged stories, manipulated memories, and when that failed, you brought violence into it. This was never about grief. This was about greed. He got 5 years. I didn't feel sorry. The land is mine now. Fully. Legally. There's even a new plaque hanging on the barn made by one of the ranch hands. It says, "Don't let him lie." Every time I walk by it, I remember that moment in the courtroom. That smug look Wayne had shattered in an instant by a simple video. But here's the part one don't like to admit. I let my guard down. I trusted that because I was honest, things would work out. I ignored red flags because I didn't want to cause trouble at the funeral. And that almost cost me everything. So yeah, Wayne was a liar. A thief. A snake. But I should have seen it coming. Next time, I won't be so patient.